That morning, I get a phone call from my brother. Hey, have you seen what's on TV? I see the news about aircraft hit, a building. I didn't think anything about it. It was like, oh, it's a big accident. And another aircraft hit the second tower. And in my head, I already knew we were going to be getting ready to deploy.
I slept through it, most of it, because we went out partying the night before after we got home from Vegas. So he turned on my TV and surprised me.
We're out there on the flight line, and all of a sudden you see a car just hauling over towards us. And you look at the car on the flight line, you realize it's our deployed commander. All of a sudden you just stand at attention. So here we are on a flight line, and he's like, I don't have time for that. Here's what's gonna happen. Are you guys ready? Is your jet ready? And we're just, all our answers are, yes, sir. He says, I got a jet coming down. It's gonna pull in next to you guys. It's gonna nose in off to the side. We're gonna take cargo from that jet. They're gonna put cargo onto your jet, and you guys are gonna take off. But the difference of what was going on is that you had a gentleman in uniform was up on it with some of the cargo with his gun, and you're looking at him like, who is that dude, and why is he staying with that? As another one comes off the jet, there's another guy comes over, and you find out, it's the Ravens. Their training is extreme, and pretty much don't give a rat's ass who you are. You cross one line wrong after they told you not to, they will put you on the ground. Those guys just don't play. So you got one Raven up there with the cargo, the other one's coming over. He gets and stays down there, they load it up. By the time, as soon as they shut the cargo door, the pilot was already, our ace was just, he was like, let's turn, clear me on the engines. So we get loaded upstairs, walk by the cargo, and we were told, don't touch it, don't stop to look at it, don't ask questions about it. And literally there was one Raven that was just sitting there with his gun, watching us walk by it.
We were told not to even ask anybody what kind of cargo was on the pallet, and that the Army guys there were instructed to shoot anybody who touched the pallet or tried to figure out what was on it.
And we're like, hey, what's going on? You know where we're going? No, I can't tell you. Like, what do you mean you can't tell us? And it's like, it's an undisclosed location. So we land in our undisclosed location. The crew still hasn't told us. We're like, hey, where are we? Just still trying to find answers and still don't know. So we were sitting out there for a good time. There was a building off in the distance. We still couldn't see where we were, but we're out there on the flight line still, and all of a sudden the ramp lights come up for the runway. And you're just like, oh, well, you recognize there's gonna be an aircraft coming down. So as we're sitting out there and just watching out in the distance, and you're like, oh, that's a B-52 bomber, which in retrospect is one of the oldest bombing aircraft. So here's bomber, and I'm like, no big deal. We've been deployed with bombers, so we must be someplace where there's some regular maintenance and everything. So you don't think anything about that one. And so while you're looking, and you see another jet coming down, another just big aircraft, gets closer, and you're looking, and it's a B-1 bomber. It's about the second generation bomber that they tried to replace the B-52 with. You see that come down, and that's a little weird. You normally don't see those two. Then you look, there's a third jet coming down, and you're looking at it, it's like, that's the newest, that's a B-2 stealth bomber. You don't see those. Those are maybe an air show. There might be one, but you don't see those unless you are at one of those bases that have it. All right, so here's the oldest bomber, the B-1 bomber, the B-2 stealth. So we're sitting there, and then, dang, it's another B-52. So now I got two that landed. I got another B-1s coming in again, and then all of a sudden another B-2 stealth. My whole career, I've never seen that many bombers and that many, different style, generation of the aircraft. Just as the third one comes down, Disco was upstairs.
And I had a little CD player with an AM/FM transmitter.
He yells out the window. He's like, hey, we started the war. And we're like, what? We're like, yeah, We started the war. Those were the bombers that started the bombing run. We started the war. We're on the flight line. We're just like, where the fuck are we?
I don't know. It was kind of cool, but after seeing the bombers, I knew we were bombing. You had no idea who.
What it was called Operation Enduring Freedom, and started beginning of October, and it was the British and Americans forces initiated the bombing run over in Afghanistan. So, I mean, we had a mission. Of course, there's a mission. What that was for was to bring that pallet of boxes. You know, now you joke about it because of the movie Seven, but it's like, what's in the box? Just tell me what's in the box. That's all we wanted to know, and we still to this day never. We could speculate, but never were told. We did find out that we were on Diego Garcia, also known as a British Indian Ocean territory. From there, normal operation, not knowing how long we were going to be there for. We just 12, 13-hour days. But there was days, we didn't fly.
And nothing to do all day and all night. We ended up just sitting around. We had probably 16 people per house, 2-bedroom house. So all we did was get booze.
All of a sudden, one of my roommates, Matt Coakley, I'm out in the living room, we're just watching TV, and it was just the two of us, but all of a sudden it's just, you feel shaking.
My chair started bouncing first, and I looked up and you could see waves in the walls.
Matt's coming out, he's in his underwear, and all I remember really is him screaming at the top of his lungs like a little girl, "Get out of the house and shit! It's a motherfucking earthquake! Get out of the house!" And I'm like, what are you talking about? And you go to stand up, and you say, I've never been in an earthquake. And he's, telling all this, and he's yelling, he's running out of the house.
Matt Coakley freaked out and decided to run outside in his underwear, if I remember right, and fell headfirst into a tree as the earthquake.
And then all our power's out at this point. There's no more power in the housing area. And all I could think of is, we're under attack. I had no idea. I just, here you are, earth shaking, and, you're in a place, and we just started a war. We ended up being deployed for, I think, 70, if not 80 days, somewhere in that time, leaving 9 days after 9/11. So somewhere November, December, we ended up back home. And by, I think, February, March the next year, we were back out deployed. Looking back, I mean, that was my job, and that's what you're trained for. So you don't think twice about it at the time. But like this has stuck with me for a long time, but I don't talk about it. At the time, yeah, scared. What's in the boxes? Where the fuck are we? What are we doing here? Altogether it was pretty much a once in a lifetime experience. It's dear to my heart as something that was special. It is a job, but it really was. It was a once in a lifetime experience.